Blog Talk Radio.
Greetings and salutations, hempsters. Welcome to another hemp episode of Hempower Radio. Tyler Hemp here, your hemp-entrepreneurial host, here to hempower and hemp-educate your hemposphere as usual, because it's very important for our food, shelter, and clothing. On today's hemp educational show, we're going to be discussing my favorite topic when it comes to hemp products, and that is hemp fiber and building products, particularly for rebuilding our homes. We're going to be discussing the hemp fiber industry and how an amazing group called Planet Hemp, which is PLAN-IT, so it's not like the planet, it's a play on words, which obviously you know I love. This team is based out of Montana, and they're making great progress to move the industry forward, particularly when it comes to hemp fiber and hemp fiber processing and working with the hemp fibers for different applications. At Hempower, we believe investing in your education and investing in hemp are two crucial things that you can do for yourself, for the economy, and the planet that will make a positive generational impact. And so on today's show, I'm very pleased to welcome special guests Kim Phillips, Monique Kuhns, and Chelsie Kennedy, who are kind of the spearheading team of this group. And so thank you so much for being on today's show. I know your website is p-ih.com, where people can learn more about what you guys are up to after the show today. But thank you so much for being on, and I really look forward to learning about what you're up to and getting the message out there.
Thank you so much, Tyler, for having us.
Yes, thank you, Tyler.
Yeah, my pleasure. So if we could maybe go a little bit into your backgrounds, if Kim, you want to start first and just share kind of your general background, and then what was it that led you up to working with hemp in the first place? If each one of you may want to do like a 2-minute background or 2 or 3 minute background.
Okay, so my name's Kim Phillips, and originally I was just kind of a farm girl. I always grew up loving animals, horses. I raised dogs for years and started out, for over a decade being a vet tech. My dad was really interested in natural building techniques, and I grew up in the high desert of Southern California, so it was very hot, and I learned about the heat transfer and thermal mass from him, how you have cool in the daytime and warm at night, and as I continued to look into building, because I love just creating stuff, I started learning about passive solar and alternative environmental energy trends. And in 2004, my husband and I, we just finished work on a passive solar home, and he was killed in a car accident, and it kind of just stung me pretty bad and made my learning process a little stagnant. But I had a property that the building permit was going to expire, so I thought I'd look into putting in a super energy efficient home, and I ended up doing polyurethane panels, which are really, really bad for the planet. And but the good thing out of it is I learned about hempcrete during that process, and so now I'm trying to make up for that. So I built this house with these panels, but then I started learning about hempcrete, and I went to a science and agronomist conference in Colorado in 2016, and I just started exploring how that would change the environment and how positive it would impact. And I started looking into reasons to build with that material instead of polyurethane.
Right on. Thank you. That's. I'm so sorry to hear that about your husband. It's can be an awakening when someone close to us passes, and it sounds like it motivated you even more to do something big with hemp. So yeah, Monique, what was your background, or kind of what led you up to hemp and working with hemp in general?
Yeah, thanks, Tyler. So I am Monique Kuhns, and your listeners will know I am Kim's niece. So when Kim started working on the house back in Idaho, I was able to go out there and help her. And it was just fascinating to see and be empowered and encouraged by watching a woman do this all by herself. All the construction I have ever grown up with has been men-based. And so she was just a huge inspiration that, yeah, there really isn't anything that can stop us. And then just growing up in California, I remember in 7th grade, we were really getting heavily taught about recycling and, separating our papers, separating the cans, and being able to do something more for the planet, and having that consciousness of it does take a lot of people in order to make a difference. So when she had accomplished her house and then was like, we can't do this again because it's going to be so terrible for our environment, I went and checked out all this stuff in Holland, and she is, my mom and my aunt Kim are from Holland, and their sisters were all born in Holland. It was just inspiring to see that, okay, here was a dilemma, but she moved forward and passed it fast, and then I just get to teach my daughter everything and pass it along to her on how we can move forward in a rate and at a speed that business and corporates don't want to. When you're focused on the money side of things, it's not going to move fast. But on the environmental importance and being able to become a different answer for the next generation and for today's problems and issues and climate change, we can't wait for the money. It's something that we have to be able to look forward at moving and changing right now. So it's so exciting to work with Kim and Chelsie. She's just got so much health and vibrance, and working with women in the industry to have each other to balance and back up each other up when so much of the times are like, they can bring you down, but we've got a pleasure of being able to work with each other and have each other's backs and move forward. It's been so awesome.
Right on. Well, thank you for that. And Chelsie, how about you? What was your general background, and then what was it that led you or introduced you to the hemp plant and working with hemp?
I grew up in rural America, so rural America is at my heart. I grew up in fresh air and open blue skies, and not amidst a lot of crime, but amidst a lot of farmland. I joined the military and attended the University of South Dakota, earning a degree in business economics. Or after I took a corporate sales job in Omaha, to leave 2 years later and moved to Montana because corporate America was just not my scene. That year, I was sitting at home on Pinterest, and Hempcrete came up on my scroll feed. And I'm a niece of 2 concrete company owners, so my interest was instantly piqued. Like, what? Hempcrete? What is this? But it's a stable building that has stood the test of time, buildings and bridges that were built century years ago. It's like, okay, they did this back then. They have to be able to do it now. Spent some time in personal development, learning more about the hemp plant, and also in entrepreneurial classes. And how I met Kim literally was because I went to get a haircut, and I told this lady that I was getting a haircut from my interest in hemp, and she gave me the name of one of the Montana growers, and he was a part of the Montana Hemp Growers Facebook page. Well, I go on there and I talk about hemp in Helena in Montana, and Kim instantly was like, hey, I'm growing hemp in Helena, Montana, and another female was like, oh, that's awesome. Turns out we live 3 minutes from each other. So since then, we've been able to bounce back and grow with each other on a lot of different levels. Starting a business is a wild ride, and encouraging other women to aspire to go higher in industries that are dominated by men, building industries, et cetera. It's neat, and it's not that we're trying to compete with them, but it's just where our interests lie. We're not, it's what we're into, which isn't typical for women, I guess. But it's been neat. One of the analogies that we've used, that Kim brought up, is in like mountain climbing. So as we each try to get to the next peak, we're all in it together. We're all going, and it gets harder to breathe the higher the elevation gets. So remember to take a lot of breath and keep going.
Totally. Thank you all for sharing that background. And really quick, Chelsie, it sounds like there's a little bit of a breakup on the phone. I don't know if I'm hearing that, but everyone else, Monique and Kim, sounds fine. If maybe your connection's a little bit bad, or if there's a better spot you could stand, it sounds like it was a little choppy to me.
Okay.
Yeah, so awesome. So now it sounds a little bit the same, but that's okay. We'll keep moving forward. So now that we have a good background on where you guys have come from, your history, and kind of how you're introduced to the hemp plant, can you give us an overall vision or purpose of why you guys formed Planet Hemp and what you guys are doing with it?
Yeah, so, as like funny saying goes, hemp is the less sexy cousin to marijuana. And then I akin CBD, the ambitious, more brazen cousin, challenging the medical and more holistic side, warring off with big pharma, where fiber tends to be a little more of the bookworm cousin and seems a little boring to people. But the challenge is like the Wright brothers, they had a bunch of naysayers, and even with the internet, people were like, that wouldn't work, trying to get so many people to change, to use something different, and think that this application could affect them. And it really does. It has a place in all, like everywhere you look around your room, practically. But in order to do that, I think Planet Hemp wants to start at the ground floor with farmers and making sure that they are able to make money. And because without the farmers, growing it, we're not going to have anything to process, and then we aren't able to supply to manufacturers to make these products. And so having a really solid foundation of facts and real-life application of quality hemp fiber to be available to manufacturers and producers of products is what our goal is, and it's a necessary. I mean, that is necessary, and we're we're 3 decades behind Europe and Canada, and I don't know that China ever had a period where they weren't growing hemp. So there's so much catch up, to do, but I don't try to get caught up in the catch up part. I try to use what they do and advance what we have and look at things from different angles and how and why hasn't it happened in Europe? Why aren't they doing this mainstream? There are uses of it, but why is it not more industrialized and mainstream?
Yeah, commercialized and made affordable and accessible. And so, we're going to definitely go into that in just a moment, like in terms of the challenges. But so that's great. So the vision for Planet Hemp is really to help starting with ground zero in terms of collecting the facts, what is currently out there in terms of hemp fiber processing, manufacturing applications, and then building from what's currently existing and making it even better. Sounds like you guys are really focused on dialing in the supply chain so that, the farmers, it's great. We have potential farmers that want to put seed in the ground, but then what? Like, we got to have processors for them to off-put that fiber. So I love that you guys are doing this. It's such an essential part of this process. But in that, what would you say are some of the biggest challenges that the hemp fiber industry is facing right now?
Yeah, so a little background for Planet Hemp, Tyler. This kind of really did all start when Kim said she wanted to grow and build her own home. She didn't get the license. It's not legal in Idaho at the time, so we found out that it was legal in Montana to grow. She got into the pilot program, and she's really humble, so she won't toot her own horn. Like, we are taking baby steps, but from being able to get to the point where we have grown the hemp, harvested it and finding all of the quirks, because anytime you work with hemp, depending on what strain it is or what variety it and where you're planting it, even like versus China, Montana, northern Montana, it has so many reasons to change, and nothing has ever come consistent. So we've, over the years, been able to figure out which one is working the best for what fiber and what would be able to mainstream. So we have planted, harvested, processed, and put into her hemp house our hemp. And I think that we are safely able to say that we're the first ones in Montana to do so, maybe in all of America. I don't know, from like the 1800s. But being able to have that from the ground up and feeling the fiber and understanding what the challenges of the plant itself is, and then having to go through all the processes of the challenges from the laws and federally and compliance to being able to build. There are so many parts where our farmers have been told, oh, plant this, it's going to be a moneymaker, cash crop, and our farmers are getting misled because they've grown it, and now there's no place to process it. And trying to find out where we were going to get our supply from and making it something that was affordable made it a whole entire vision for Planet Hemp. We found the bottleneck, and we knew we needed to make our own answer fast, and that's where Kim focused us. We got to be on processing. We can't get our hands in on this.
Yeah, because we've got the farmers, right? There's plenty of agricultural specialists or farmers out there with land that they want to get rid of their monocrops of wheat, corn, soy, or these crops where they're just being subsidized by the government and not really creating a solid, fulfilling career where they're producing a product that's free of pesticides and herbicides and GMOs. And it seems like farmers are now wanting to get out of that world of control and do something that actually makes a huge difference, but also makes more money. It seems that there's higher potential for return for farmers to be growing hemp instead of these other crops. So thank you for that. Yeah, there are, you're right, that you bring up a good point, that there's not just challenges with growing the hemp. There's so many variables, where you grow it, what variety you grow, how close you grow, the water accessibility, all of that has a major effect. You're absolutely right. And then there's the legalities, and then there's the building codes. And so there are a lot of hurdles that we have to overcome, but we're the way setters. We're paving the work. You guys are doing such amazing things as farmers and processors. You guys kind of have a hand in each step of that process. And as hemp farmers and processors, and having worked with the hemp, what are some of your immediate goals, like this year, that you guys are wanting to achieve as Planet Hemp?
So we excitedly opened doors to the first fiber processing facility in Montana in January. And we have, over the past 2 years, have been working on an innovative new technology for processing hemp in a way that is brings the quality. There's no reason to produce something. So I try to use this analogy. If you need a 4x4, a 2x12 or something, you don't build it out of sawdust. So your goal, you need to start with a nice long piece of wood that can accommodate that. You can't build it from the dust. And so you don't want to create a facility that creates the dust and then try to work your way backwards. So along these steps, I've always focused on making sure that next step always maintain the quality of the fiber, because without that quality of fiber, your manufacturers can't use it. They just simply can't use it. And so developing this process, this system, allows us to be like 99.9% dust-free. I want to say 100%, but there is no 100% dust, right? I mean, it is a dust-free product. It maintains the quality of the fibers by not influencing it with any chemicals or the long winter retting that changes and during the decomposition period creates a less than desirable product, mainly for color, and then also degrading it by the hammer mill process, which is the current, by writ large, the way that most processors are processing hemp at any scale. Ours eliminates those things in its entirety, and at this point, we open these doors. We have this, in fact, this last week, we had to set up the machine and get going. And so this week was our first real cutting of the hemp, and it was better than what I had even envisioned. I didn't just have a vision. I had built a micro machine in my living room and had been doing all the testing and proof of concept here in my living room. And then I bought a larger machine and got this facility, and now we're starting to cut the hemp. And I had sent material out to for feedback on what we were able to produce, and have gotten very positive feedback. Also to the manufacturer of this machine on a large scale to make sure that we would be able to get it to scale and be affordable and profitable, hopefully for farmers, all the way on up to the manufacturers and producers.
Right on. That's a noble goal, and we're doing our best to help get the message out there to help support you guys. I know you have a crowdfunding campaign that you just launched, and so if people want to check that out, there's a link in the description of the podcast, or you can just go to the website, which is p-ih.com, and learn more about the project. So I'd love to hear from each of you, now that we kind of talked about all the problems of the industry. What are some of your main benefits? Like, what do you guys love about working with hemp as a fiber product? If you want to go, one at a time, just sharing what you guys love about working with this plant, whether it's just the plant itself or working with the building aspects and the fiber applications.
I'll go first. I love its flexibility. We have a project home in Butte, which is a 100-year-old renovation project, or a 100-year-old house that we're doing a complete renovation on. And it's literally been women only doing this. So Monique came from Iowa. My sister, her mother, came over from Idaho. And so it's basically women friendly, and I'm able to do it at a scale or at a pace that allows me just to continue working on it. So I can stop, and it doesn't hurt to pick up where you left off. So for me, it's very women friendly. I love that.
You go next, Chelsie.
Cool.
My excitement is it's been done before, so we know it can be done, but it's doing it in a new way that's never been done. So I really appreciate the challenges of forging into something new. But also, I'm a stay-at-home mom, so I get flexibility in a different way. I'm working in a women company that are both, we're all moms, so we get it. And I get to be a mom and raise my kids in a new paradigm of understanding what hemp is and what it can do for our environment. So that's really exciting for me moving forward in the next generation. And I know that's in all of our hearts, both Monique and Kim's as well.
Beautiful. Awesome. How about you, Monique?
Yeah, for me, it's just incredible. There is no ceiling for what hemp can do. I know that sounds dreamy and lofty. I am a huge advocate. Like, once I get something in my heart, it's so easy to stand for. And hemp just keeps on providing more and more and more uses and more proof that it doesn't take a genius to figure this out, right? And the fact that if America could get on board and start growing this and making our lives healthier and changing and making our planet healthier, it's going to be amazing. And to be able to advocate and educate, that's where I'm excited. I can't wait to be able to make our facility duplicable in multiple cities. That way it's easier for the farmers, easier for the manufacturers to get their hands on. Like, this is a plant that has the potential to do what cement has done, but also clean up our planet instead of making the footprint that is going to devastate our planet. So having that gumption and ability to take something so simple and not make it so difficult, we can do it. We have been 5 women working on this home, and it's being done. And it really was in Kim's backyard, Chelsea's backyard, and we took it and made it into a home, a beautiful wall, a beautiful room. And so, it's just that challenge to get in front of the financial and the money aspect of it. If Americans can see a bigger vision and understand that this is something that it's not going to be just something for Americans. We can be housing so many individuals on something that's going to be simple and on hand and easy to grow once we get this wrinkles taken out. It's exciting.
Exactly, yes. Awesome. And you guys, I had a next question, which each of you pretty much kind of filled in. You know, you answered my question, which is, what do you find most fulfilling about working with hemp and building a career around this amazing plant? And I think you pretty much answered that with each one of your answers. So my next question is, what do you like most about working with hempcrete as a building material in comparison with other building applications? How does this differ for each of you, and what do you enjoy working with hemp compared to these other building applications?
For me, it's the moving towards a less toxic building materials in general. Being able to offer a breathable, non-toxic home that is better for everybody's quality of life is my drive.
Love it.
And I have to echo that sentiment. It is definitely, when I walk into our project home, it smells different. It feels different. And, I mean, it can be like -10 outside, and I don't even have this building completed, filled up, or the roof finished, or the flooring. And you can just feel the difference of the earth, the being part of the building. It's, Dion was one of my, and I would be remiss not to put my deepest sympathies out there for a great loss, Dion. And that inspiration, of these people in front of me that taught me and gave me insight to how to put this into play on smaller scales, so we can start showing people and letting more people experience it, because until you walk in and you touch it, feel it, see it, it's hard to explain. It's really hard to explain, and I love the learning process. I'm mentored by a hemp builder in the UK, Graham Durant, and he's been fantastic, and has a really honest way of promoting hempcrete and not being, hyperbolic, and it can save the world. Yes, it can, but first we have to do it right, because one mistake, and then, that saying, 1 shit cancels out, 1,000 attaboys, and this is kind of the hemp world right now.
Right. Absolutely. How about you, Monique?
Mine is totally selfish. I love the lightness.
The ease of use.
It's crazy, but I mean, you look at I really encourage your listeners to go out and educate and read up on all of the benefits, because there's so many ways of trying to say things to make it sound like it's an amazing plant that's going to encompass and take care of all. But you have to know and be able to put it into application. And so where we're women, we have taken, and it has slowed us down. We had to do it the packed way, and it's fun to build with. It's amazing to watch that it went from a plant into a wall, but it was like, you cannot carry a bag of cement. We can completely make a wall.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. It was incredible. It was so light and doable.
Yeah, light and fluffy and easy to use. Just pour it in. There's no major screwing and hammering and heavy machinery.
Exactly.
There's a little bit of machinery, but not much. It's definitely user friendly. I really appreciate each of you sharing. And another question kind of came up when Kim was speaking, which is, there's a lot of experts out there that you guys are learning from who have maybe been building for 15, 20 plus years. Do you guys have some resources or a place where you can point our listeners to go in terms of increasing their education on building with hemp? Or what would be some of the first steps that, if, let's say, someone's hearing about this for the first time or they want to start getting their feet wet, where would you recommend them to go to start learning about hempcrete and how they can start acquiring the raw materials or working with their local, farmers to grow it? Where would you send them to go to learn about more?
That's a tough. I think I got a lot of information from Hemp Ministry. And I scoured so many sites. I wouldn't be able to really put one out there, I don't think. I look for those. So I'm a member. We're members of U.S. Hemp Building Association, and so that's a really good resource to get your feet wet. And it's USHBA.org. USHBA.org, exactly. So you want to be careful, and then try to look for information that has some credibility, that isn't somebody a one and done. I also belong to a couple natural building sites that do cob and straw house. I learn a lot from them as well, and I'm able to look at hempcrete from a little different angle sometimes. It's pretty cool. There is a ton of stuff out there on to research.
Yeah, well, that's, I would say, possibly the number one at this point is the USHBA, since they are the leading hemp building association right now. Cool.
There's also a European Hemp Association that has quite a bit of information on their website as well.
Okay, great. Awesome. Monique or
Chelsie? And for fiber as a whole, I think the Congressional Research Service did a really great job with their 2018 publication, Hemp as an Agricultural Commodity, that really gives way to what hemp can be, more towards the fiber sector than just that nutraceutical CBD medicinal industry that we've seen hemp be so far.
Yeah, I think you can actually pick up a physical copy of that on Amazon, if I'm not mistaken. Hemp as a agricultural commodity, is that what you called it?
Yep, and it's by the Government Congressional Research Service. They did a nice job.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate each of you, doing the work that you're doing, paving the way, setting up a beautiful hemp future for us all. Was there anything else you wanted to share with our listeners, that as far as action steps you would like them to take, or how they can help bring hemp products to the market or help move this industry forward. Obviously, I personally encourage everyone to go to the crowdfunding campaign and send a contribution to this movement, to Planet Hemp and to their campaign, to their project, and help these beautiful women accomplish their goals and visions and dreams, because it's a noble task and a noble project. So I really appreciate each of you. But if there was anything else, last thoughts or resources or action steps that you'd like to share with them. Yeah.
I really appreciate that, Tyler. The crowdfunding site is wefunder.com, and I am remiss. I'm not up to date on my website, so I will get that on my website as well. And just a note, trying to access traditional financing is not a great option, because I have one bank in town that will even talk to me because it's hemp. And with no historical financials for this industry, they consider you super high risk, and so your terms are cost prohibitive, and it's really not fair. We're not subsidized, and until we're just trying to get these, first sets of recorded data of sales, and then I think we'll be able to be on our way and prove this out and help other people with the financing, stumbling blocks that we are all facing. It's a shame that it's this way, but any support and any feedback, we'd love to hear back from people what they think. If they have any questions, reach out, please, because that just helps us get better. Definitely. And move this forward.
Awesome.
Yep. And then
the
support of just having word of mouth and passing this along is huge. We understand that not everyone has finances that can put into WeFunders or being able to help out in any means, but you may know a friend, you may know a family member, or you may know a boss, and just getting the word out about hemp, that it is something that really can make the future better, and it has to get passed on faster than later, because most places are looking at making the future better by 2050, and we don't have that time.
Right.
If they're looking to change it by 2050, we're going to be in trouble.
Yep, I just echo that. Growing that collective conversation of awareness about it and getting excited with it. Even if people don't have finances to invest right now, getting excited about Planet Hemp, just sharing in our excitement as we continue to hit milestones, because it's a lot of fun. It's a wild ride.
It is. It's so fulfilling being in a movement or an industry that we know is the number one solution. I believe it's the most essential solution for food, shelter, and clothing. And if we have one resource that, it's sustainable, it's renewable.
People like you, Tyler. I don't know any more down-to-earth, good-hearted people who just want to help. The hemp industry has opened my eyes to a whole entire different type of world, and I'm so appreciative for your time and what you are doing for us right now. Thank you.
Yes,
my pleasure.
Appreciate that.
Absolutely. That's why we're called Hempower. It's that combination of hemp and awareness, that we think is going to change the world. It's consciousness is such a undervalued topic. What we're aware of and what we think about every single day, all day long, is what we bring about in the world. And people like us who are thinking about hemp every day, not just thinking. We're literally eating it and sleeping with it and building our houses with it. So that's what we want others to experience and start enjoying the benefits. So you guys are amazing. Thank you again so much for coming on the show, and I really look forward to doing more amazing things with you into the future.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you, Tyler.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. This is your Hempreneurial host, Tyler Hemp. We'll see you on the next Hempisode of Hempower Radio. In the meantime, make it hempy.